Good afternoon. Hi, welcome to 115 in the Connected Media Chit Chat booth. I'm Bruce from Switch Media in Australia, just kind of around the corner. It only took me about 20 hours to get here. So it's great to see you guys are all pumped. Everyone's just like, yeah, we got a clapping in the back, that's great news. It's good to have that. Otherwise known as comfortable seats, so that's good. Look, I've got the honor of taking you guys through a couple of pieces of thinking that we do in delivering online video. We're Switch Media are an independent company who provides services to 5 out of the 6 Australian broadcasters. We've evolved over the past 10 or so years, and this isn't really like a product kind of flogging chat. I suppose I'm kind of going to take you through some of the ideas and the technology that we use to successfully deliver events. I'm going to focus on events and fast turnaround and monetization. So we got a couple of key accounts that keep us afloat, day in, day out. They're great customers that allow us to innovate and build more product and allow us to sleep at night, right? They basically pay our way. So, from doing some pretty cool events, we thought that we would start to build some product and start to look at spinning up live events pretty quickly. A bit of a background about myself. I'm a computer science guy. I worked in IT and telco for about 12, 13 years before I moved into the media space. I worked for a big telecommunications organization, Singtel. I was a head of product in Singtel and built a IPVPN, a really boring business, product that allowed customers to connect together. And I luckily managed to make my way into the online media space and thankfully have got into a lot more enjoyable space than pure telco network, private networks. So, it kind of started for me in 2012 when I worked for a small distribution company that were basically used to do DVD distribution, and they were moving into the cloud space. And they tried to do a multi-tenanted media asset management platform, and it failed, spectacularly. It was unfortunately, it was managed kind of badly. It was early days of virtualization for these guys. They weren't sure how to kind of load balance things right and do bits and pieces with that. So it was off to a pretty interesting start for me. I was a project manager on that, but it was good fun. And then I got approached by a company and managed to come on board with Switch Media, and we started moving into how you actually do things in media delivery and media building. So I want to talk about sort of 3 case studies today that'll give you a bit of an overview of kind of what we do and how we can do things nice and quickly, and how we do things for big broadcasters and enable them to monetize stuff. I'm going to mainly talk about AVOD, advertising video on demand, but I will sort of touch on the subscription model as well. I'm going to sort of mainly focus on a project that I worked on called the Oz Open, one of the big Grand Slams you might have heard of in Melbourne. Yeah, I got a nod. Great. So we have heard of the Oz Open. That's kind of nice. I'd heard of it as well. Not a big, massive tennis fan, but it was an amazing couple of weeks of my life, and an amazing lead into it. We were lucky enough to win a couple of awards for this. I'll talk to more of that shortly. We also deliver ad insertion for a big Australian broadcaster called SBS, which stands for Special Broadcasting Service. These guys have got a mandate to deliver minority content to multicultural and whatnot viewers in Australia. And then one of our big customers, Foxtel, we talked about. We launched a new product for them in 8 weeks. From design, build, and testing. So we've got some pretty nice kind of modular solutions and ways that we can spin up technology pretty quickly. So yeah, I wanted to take you through those few bits and pieces. I'm going to start with a video, like a show reel that we did for a small event called the Cannes Festival, which you might have heard of. It's a sort of a bit of a background about this Oz Open project. This is like 2 minutes, so just bear with me, but it's a good overview of what we're doing, and it kind of shows you the monetization and why this was really important to Channel 7, our client, 7 West Media.
Media has revolutionized live streaming in Australia with the ultimate seamless viewing experience. TV Everywhere is quality content viewers can consume anywhere, at any time, on any device. Introducing our global first, TV Everywhere coverage of the Australian Open tennis. Viewers chose which match they wanted to see, and the app delivered simultaneous live streaming of 2 broadcast channels and 16 courts, live, anywhere, at any time. Not just the match, but true real-time interaction, real-time stats, match results, social media walls, player profiles and news. In another global first, 7 West Media has developed the ability to monetize live streaming through live mid-roll ad insertion across all devices, including MPEG- insertion on hybrid TV. This will reduce video format fragmentation for live streaming, minimize cannibalization, and introduce an incremental revenue stream for broadcasters. Thanks to the TV Everywhere coverage of the Australian Open, almost 40% of the Australian Open audience accessed content from either online or relevant apps, in addition to the TV broadcast. On TV, the audience saw a 3% boost for linear tune-in. Across tablet, mobile, desktop and hybrid TV, there were 4.1 million video streams served, resulting in 22.1 million minutes of content viewed, while hybrid TV saw gross loads double. 7 West Media has revolutionized live streaming, delivering tennis fans unrivaled choice, interaction, and world firsts.
So yeah, it was a pretty fun project. These guys took it pretty seriously. They've had a lot of money for the rights to broadcast this stuff and wanted to try and get it out to the audience as much as possible. So obviously online video was a key way to do it. We won the Spark Awards for Media Excellence out of Singapore in 2 categories: Most Innovative Technology and Most Improved Offering by a Media Owner. And that was against 850 entrants across the globe. So that was a pretty nice position. And we got a commended as a hotly contested category of, we commended position in the hotly contested category of multi-screen and streaming prize at the VideoNet Connected TV Awards in London. So it's the guys did really well, the team did really well, and it was a really nice integration between Yahoo, ourselves, and Channel 7, and ourselves being the technology partner. We had a bit of a challenge with it. They only gave us a brief of it in September, so it started on the 4th of January, and then they doubled the number of streams that they wanted to have in the backcourts from 8 to 16 just before Christmas. So we had a lot of work to do and a lot of challenges in that place. And luckily we were able to handle these challenges by use of, software as a service, so virtualization in being able to spin up more APIs and more interfaces to be able to deal with multiple streams, but also a pretty strong encoding farm that allowed us to be able to deliver both mosaics and ABR, HLS, and as you heard, MPEG- streams. So when I say mosaic, I'm talking about like a mega wall. You would have seen that in the video. It was essentially up to 9 backcourts on one screen, and they had 2 of those screens. So we had a lot of video that was being delivered, and with a good few challenges around keeping them in sync. A lot of the video was delivered over IP, so we had an SDI to IP converters on site, and then we took a lot of video out off the DVB-T broadcast as well. So we had a lot of timing things to deal with, and thankfully we were able to synchronize the video in a pretty neat way. So I'm going to kind of briefly touch on kind of the product set here that helped us spin it up, but we'll go into a little bit more detail on each of the different, as I said, each of the case studies that we're going to run through, and how each of the products kind of fitted into it. So with the tennis app, we did end to end. We did the whole works from signal all the way through to app. We built and managed the encoding. We also ingest VOD content out of their EVS workflow. We then also turned. We did like live ABR streaming, which we managed in the cloud for transcode, and we created on-demand long-form video also in the cloud. So, we can take you through more of this framework. We're on SU 12.207. I can take you through more detail of that at some point if you're interested. But and I'm going to touch on AdEase as well, which is our server-side ad insertion product too. So how we did it for the Oz Open was, as I mentioned, we had this framework that was able to capture, encode, publish, and monetize the live video. So we literally had guys in Sydney, the event was on in Melbourne, had guys watching the backcourt, so the non-broadcast, the stuff that was outside of Margaret Court Arena and Rod Laver Arena, that were on the backcourt. So there were 16 backcourts that were live streamed all the time. And we had guys watching those in Sydney, watching those backcourts, and when there was an ad break coming up, they came up and they were literally able to press press insert an ad. So I'll show you what that interface looks like. Also, they were able to create VOD and also share to social in a really quick way as well, using our live to VOD product. So it was quite a nice way to be able to deliver both short and long form content monetized. So this is the interface that we use for the guys use to be able to insert ads. To create VOD. So they were watching the court as they went, and you can see they had a couple of interfaces. There's a short form VOD creator on the bottom and a long form VOD on the left hand side. They were simply able to mark in, mark out, and be able to quickly publish content to a range of different networks, mainly Facebook and Twitter, and also through their own broadcast workflow, the Yahoo system. So inserting ads, I mentioned that there was guys outside of Melbourne in Sydney that were watching the content. This is just obviously a bit of a mock-up that wasn't the tennis, but you can see it with some swimming imagery in it. We've got the input frame. You can hit insert an ad. We'll go and call the ad from through Vast, so we can go after Google DFP or Videology or any of the like. We'll then take the ad, transcode that, and insert that into the stream in very near real time, and be able to play that back and go back to the main content out of that. The interface looks something like this for the guys in Sydney. So it was in our cloud. It was a web interface. They were watching an RTMP stream here on the left-hand side, a 56K rendition. So this was pre all the transcode for HLS and MP Dash, all the ABR transcode. So the guys were able to watch this a little bit before broadcast, and when a point was won, or when something happened, where there was going to be some time out, maybe 30 seconds, well, at least 30 seconds, and they knew when this was, like change of ends, etc., etc. They were able to press 2 or click on the big red button with their mouse, and then it would switch over to an ad. For this model, the guys used a bunch of content that we'd already had pre-prepared in the media manager, so we were able to switch over pretty quickly. So the media manager is our video content management system. So that's a kind of a bit of an overview of what we did with the Summer of Tennis, and moving on to on-demand ad insertion. So we have a really neat way of being able to really quickly turn around and be able to monetize on-demand content without a big heavy workflow around transcoding and re-ingesting. We were able to get SBS's video VOD archive, which has got about 3,000 items in it. A lot of those are long form, 80% of those are long form. We were able to do that within about 6 or 7 hours. So we have a really neat way, very tailored way of how we do that, which I'll touch on in this session, in this segment. We're able to do it in real time as well. So we can use it both in live and in VOD. As I mentioned in the previous one, we have the ad network integration, so using VAST 3 and 4 technologies, which enables us to be able to target the ads, based on if they're logged in, PPID, or if it's location-based or platform-based information that we've got through configuration and through, your usual cookies and whatnot. The really neat way of being able to inject the ad in the stream is, this is probably not much news to any of you, but obviously it gets around the ad blocking and the spinning wheel that happens in the player when the player side goes off and does the ad request. So we're able to obviously get around those ad blockers and give more of a sort of a broadcast experience or a TV-like experience with the lack of spinning wheels going in and out of ads. And it works with like legacy systems too. So you don't have to have a specific player to be able to use this technology as well. This specific player will give you functionality like users being able to click through to add content, or see when ad breaks are coming up, or block the skipping forward if you've got a player interface into it. So it's worth noting that that we saw that this market is really pretty important, especially in Australia, and I think that it's really a key thing that AVOD is growing year on year. We've got some stats here from the Siemens Convergence Creators report. We're seeing advertising as the number one here in this chart. So we've got 35.2%. We're looking at of content being of on-demand content being monetized through advertisements. We're seeing a decline in subscription-based on-demand content. I guess that's a trend that we'll see how that goes over the next couple of years. There's a bit of a change in technology and application to that. So, and then we see the pay-per-view content is, expectedly a fair bit lower again. So we, one of the big things about making the AVOD, the advertising video on demand or advertising based video is we really want to have a nice, really lovely, beautiful TV-like experience, which you often don't have that problem with subscription on-demand content because you don't have transitions in and out of the ads during ad breaks. The video will play the whole way through. You kind of got that Netflix-style experience where the whole program will finish and then the next one will come up in 15 seconds and you can binge away. For those in the advertising space, they want to have that same experience, but they need to be able to address getting ads in there and specifically getting targeted ads in there. Targeted ads we see have a huge 2 to 3 times more value than generic ads. If they know that me, a late 30-year-old bloke with a couple of kids that's living in a certain area of Sydney, will have a much higher value if I can market something to him that's much more relevance rather than Nivea face wash that's going to get rid of some of my spots and acne. Maybe not so relevant these days. So we're seeing ad blockers as well being a big threat to the Australian market, obviously worldwide as well. We look at basically 85% of the Australian broadcast market need to address ad blockers, and they are addressing ad blockers. We can see the sort of the trend here from the younger millennials all the way through to 45-year-old plus. So the younger guys are jumping on board with the ad blockers. This stats come out of some global research in Q3 of last year and Q1 of this year. So it's pretty new. So we've got 46% of 18 to 24-year-olds currently using ad blockers, with 13% of which are going to look to move to ad blockers over the next, or ad blocking in their pool of technology over the next 6 months. So it's a pretty serious threat to revenue. So the case for anti-ad blocking is pretty clear. That declines, as you can see, between 25 to 34. Only a couple of percent lower, but still pretty tech savvy and keen to ads being played. And then those who are over the 45-year-old mark, that kind of it drops away to 27%. Still a serious chunk of revenue. We see the US ad blocking ad blocking group has kind of grown to 48% overall. They're saying over here, which is said to be 45 million active users over the last 12 months. So it's a serious growth that we're looking at there. And that ad blocking is said to have cost the US market $22 billion in 2015. So some numbers that'll really wake up people who are looking to address anti-ad blocking. We're seeing there's some pretty neat anti-ad blocking technology used in web pages these days. You might have experienced it, especially in some of the tech sites. The tech sites are the ones that really need to address it because their market, their readership are the guys that know about the ad blockers, and there's up at 60-70% of users have got ad blockers in there. Often you can't read articles. You get the pop-up that says, "Oh, notice you've got an ad blocker. You might want to disable that. We're not going to let you through unless you do that." So that kind of technology in the web land is getting more and more sophisticated, and in the online video land, it's definitely we're able to address that in a little bit of a neater way by stitching the videos into the ad. So if we look at the video market trends, in 2015, we see the online video market in the US worth $8.5 billion. So the stat that I gave before was an overall advertising revenue number. So this 8.5 billion is just online video revenue. So we can see that that kind of value is said to decline over the next couple of years, and that's primarily focused on needing a solution to be able to ensure that the advertising dollar is able to be pulled, as well as a much more competitive space, as you would know from the SVOD market. Prices are dropping, commoditization is growing further and further, and being able to deliver online video in a quick, cost-effective manner is pretty key. So, kind of on my last point around the advertising spend piece, what we've got in this graph on the far left-hand side, or your far right-hand side, is what's happened over from 2012 through to what's forecasted in 2017. This is the percentage total of all online advertising, with a percentage of what the percentage is in online video advertising. So we're seeing around about 1/8 of the revenue is being spent on online video. That's said to grow over the next couple of years, and especially when we see this chart here on your right, as that declines, we know that forecast revenue growth is going to grow in the advertising space. They're pretty tightly coupled. So the last kind of case study that I wanted to take you guys through this afternoon was around what we do in being able to spin up applications pretty quickly. So it's a little bit different to what I talked about before with the last two case studies. They're very much focused on a server-side solution, a kind of a cloud-based product that can stream multiple, spin up multiple servers and APIs at once. This is much an application-focused way of being able to rapidly build apps on iOS, Android, Windows 10, and also on connected TVs and a range of set-top boxes. We've had a fair bit of experience in doing this over the last 5 or 6 years now. We've built what we call the Master app. It's a framework that allows us to be able to quickly build applications and integrate them with a server-side, sort of what we call as a bundle delivery. So we're able to update a lot of the apps without having to do an app update through the various stores. We do that through JSON and data handling, mosaic handling, and all the image handling that's done within the apps. This users, administrators of the products are able to sit behind the media manager, as I mentioned there earlier, and they're able to change the layout of the applications. They're able to change the tiling of the applications through a web interface that allows them to change the priority and move bits and pieces of content up or down in the application as needs be. Here's a bit of a view of what this looks like with the app here in the front. I mentioned that we got this to market in 6 weeks. We used the master app framework. It's behind that was the template or the framework that allowed us to build a customized framework for Foxtel in this way. So we had a left side nav, which we hid that and moved it into like a hamburger menu style here, which was essentially out of the box. We had the carousel swipe left to right. We split the screen into multiple carousels, which we didn't have in our master app. But being able to do that within only a couple of days, we just reused modules and we're able to handle that pretty neatly. We had a huge amount of success with this. This is Foxtel's, which is the number one, or it's the subscription provider of television in Australia. Their TV Everywhere app, which was called Foxtel Go, so if you had a subscription of Foxtel set-top box at home, you got the Foxtel Go product coupled with that for free. So you were able to log in and watch all of the content that you can watch at home, but obviously online. And the Presto app was their first foray into a subscription on-demand content play without the package at home. So these guys, it was very important for them to hit the market running really quickly. Netflix were on their way to Australia, and at this point in time we were building this. We needed to get it out there fast. So we were able to do it through this technology, and it was a pretty neat solution, and we're pretty happy with it. So, I guess I wanted to just take you through those couple of different, stories of what we've done over the last while and what we see happening in Australia, how we see the monetization kind of works in Australia, and why it's, pretty key to be able to take modules, reuse them, spin them up in various cloud kind of environments and in the app environment. I just wanted to give you guys that overview this afternoon, and thanks very much. If there's any questions or anything, feel free to shout. You can tweet me here. I've got my Twitter handle at Bruce E. Hume and Switch Media. We've got a TV that we're giving away at the end of the show as well. So we'd love to swing by the stand and have a chat. Tweet me, and you can be in the running for a TV. Thanks.